Let's go now to Vladimir Vano in Vienna. He's an economist fellow at GlobeSec. Welcome back to the programme, Vladimir. Now, unemployment has crossed the 3 million mark. How worrying is that for Germany's economy?
One has to take into account that the German economy has been past five difficult years. Basically, throughout the past 5 years, the German economy grew only very slightly. So for unemployment statistics, which are traditionally lagging indicators, this is a logical consequence. Of course, compared with a recent low in May 2022, when the unemployment was as low as 2.2 million, the round threshold psychologically feels disturbing, but just the 3 million mark as such doesn't make a difference between the weakness or the strength. One also has to take this into a broader context. When Germany last faced challenges in the labor market, that was at the turn of the centuries, the unemployment was then peaking at double-digit levels, followed by the three waves of labor market reforms, so-called Hartz reforms, which effectively then, between 2003 and 2005, triggered the gradual decline of unemployment and halved it. Also, I would take these numbers with a grain of salt, because these are the numbers based on the unemployment claim figures, where there is intrinsic motivation to claim the unemployment benefit. When we look at the different statistic by German Federal Statistic Office, this study is based on the labor force sampling survey. There, the unemployment numbers are lower, but nevertheless, it is just one of the symptoms of the economy, which has been stagnating for quite a while. Actually, some argue that starting from 2018, this has been the worst period for the German economy in the post-war history.
Right, and manufacturing makes up nearly 18% of Germany's GDP. So how vulnerable is the country to prolonged factory weakness?
Absolutely. It's not only the lion's share of manufacturing, which represents almost 1/5 of the gross value added. It's also its dependence on the external demand on export. So let's keep in mind that 80 million Germany is the second biggest exporter in the world, right after China. So it's not only the economic powerhouse of the euro, but it's also export powerhouse. And what we have seen, especially this year, is because of the escalation of protectionist measures, reflected in a way also by the trade war of the new US administration, the external demand is faltering, and so is the German economy. Also, one thing to take into account when we speak about manufacturing and industry is energy. When we look at those segments of manufacturing which are highly energy intensive, there the decline has been steepest, and that to an extent reflects the earlier policy of the German government, so-called Energiewende, which basically turned off its nuclear resources, and thus, I would argue, contributed to higher levels of energy prices. Also, when we speak about the manufacturing, Germany has a very strong backbone of the small and medium-sized enterprises that command unique know-how, which helps them to be competitive worldwide, but then they are swimming against this wind of higher energy prices, over-regulation, and last but not least, not unfinished single market. The 450 million single market of European Union is something where I would be looking for potential resources. The trade barriers between the member states of the EU are not there, but there are a lot of non-trade barriers which prevent successful European corporations to scale up on its domestic market. And also, when we speak about the energy prices, it's not only finishing the energy union within EU, but it's also capital union, which is missing the big, well-functioning markets. The German companies are still reliant predominantly on the bank lending. When we speak about venture capital or small cap stocks, the infrastructure that's necessary to support successful startups. That's something where European Union is lagging behind, and the most successful companies in the biggest economies, such as in France and Germany, are paying price for this lagging.
Right, interesting analysis. Vladimir Vano in Vienna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.